It was a quiet Saturday afternoon in what seemed like the perfect suburban neighborhood. My wife, Emily, and I had just settled into our new home, a place with pristine lawns, white picket fences, and neighbors who offered polite smiles but avoided deep conversation. Everything screamed safe, predictable, ordinary. But Emily, with her uncanny knack for sensing trouble, knew something was off from the start. Emily was in her late 30s. With sleek black hair, she kept in a tight ponytail and green eyes that could pierce through any facade. She had this rare ability to walk into a room and instantly detect a lie, a skill I'd always envied. So when two men in police-style uniforms with HOA embroidered on their chests knocked on our door, Emily's face tightened, her instincts flaring. The taller one, David, had a smug grin and a buzz cut that screamed ex-military. His partner, Ryan, was shorter, stockier, with a shaved head and a stare that felt like it could freeze water. David did the talking. "We've had complaints about noise violations," he said, handing us a citation. "You'll need to pay a $500 fine. Cash only." Emily didn't flinch. "Noise violation?" she said, her voice calm but her eyes narrowing. "We've been here 2 days." David's grin widened. "It's a quiet neighborhood. We keep it that way." Ryan stayed silent, his arms crossed, his gaze locked on Emily in a way that made my skin crawl. Emily took the citation, her fingers grazing the paper. "We'll look into it," she said, her tone flat, unyielding. The second they left, she turned to me. "They're not cops." I frowned. "How do you know?" "Real cops don't demand cash for a noise complaint after 2 days," she said, her voice low, certain. I wanted to brush it off, but Emily was never wrong about these things. Something dark was brewing in this picture-perfect neighborhood, and we were about to get caught in the storm. A few days later, they were back, this time with a tow truck. I was tinkering in the garage when I heard the growl of an engine and the clank of metal chains. Stepping outside, I saw David and Ryan next to our car, smirking like they owned the place. "What the hell is this?" I demanded. David waved a clipboard. "Illegal vehicle. HOA regulations." Emily appeared beside me, her face a mask of calm, but her eyes burned with fury. "Illegal how?" she asked, her voice sharp. Ryan shrugged. "License plate has a frame." "That's a violation." "A frame?" Emily's voice dripped with disbelief. "You're serious?" "It's in the contract you signed," David said, tapping the clipboard. "Rules are rules." My blood boiled, but Emily stayed composed. "Let me grab my purse," she said, her tone deceptively sweet. Inside, I followed her, my heart pounding. "What are you doing?" I whispered. "Testing them," she said, pulling out a checkbook. "If they're legit, they'll issue a receipt." Back outside, Emily handed David a check. "I'll need a receipt," she said, her voice like a blade. David's smile flickered. "We don't usually." "Then you're not getting the check," Emily snapped, her eyes locked on his. Ryan's face darkened, his body tensing. "Listen, lady," Ryan started, stepping toward her. "No, you listen," Emily cut in, her voice ice cold. "You're not law enforcement. You have no authority here." David's grin twisted into something sinister. "You sure about that?" "That's when it happened." Ryan grabbed Emily, twisting her arm behind her back and slamming her against the hood of our car. She grimaced in pain, but her eyes stayed defiant. "You're under arrest for obstruction," David growled, pulling out zip ties. "Call the real police." I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. "Don't bother," David sneered. "We are the police." I stood frozen as they forced Emily into a black SUV and sped off. My stomach churned. This wasn't just an HOA scam. It was something far bigger, and Emily had walked right into it. I jumped into my car, hands trembling as I followed them, keeping my distance. The SUV wove through back streets, heading toward the edge of town. They turned down a dirt road to a half-built construction site, shrouded in darkness. I parked far enough away to stay hidden, my heart hammering as I watched them drag Emily out and shove her against the hood of their vehicle. David was grinning now, his eyes glinting with cruelty. Ryan tightened zip ties around Emily's wrists, making her wince. "You think you're clever," David hissed, leaning in close. "Think you can outsmart us?" Emily's lips curled into a faint, dangerous smile. "You sure you want to do this?" David laughed. "You're not in charge here, sweetheart." Emily's gaze flicked to the edge of the site. That's what you think. Suddenly, headlights pierced the darkness. 3 black SUVs roared into the lot, tires screeching, doors flying open. Red and blue lights flashed as a dozen armed agents in tactical gear spilled out, rifles trained on David and Ryan. "Drop your weapons," one shouted. David froze, his face paling. "What the—" Ryan reached for his gun, but Emily was faster. She slammed her heel into his knee, sending him crashing to the ground with a howl. Twisting free from the loosened zip tie, she drove her elbow into his face, blood spraying from his nose. David lunged for his weapon, but 4 agents tackled him, pinning him to the dirt. He screamed as they cuffed him. An agent ran to Emily, cutting the zip tie from her wrists. "Agent Carter, you okay?" he asked. "Yeah," Emily said, brushing herself off, her voice steady. David's face twisted in confusion as they hauled him up. "Agent Carter?" Emily's smile was cold as ice. "That's right. FBI." Ryan groaned from the ground, clutching his bloody nose. "You idiots tried to shake down a federal agent," Emily said, her voice dripping with contempt. "Big mistake." The truth unraveled fast. The HOA was a front for an extortion racket. Fake fines, forged citations, staged violations. David and Ryan weren't just corrupt. They were cogs in a sprawling criminal network preying on homeowners across the state. Emily had been working undercover for months, moving into the neighborhood to infiltrate the operation. Every step, every confrontation, had been calculated to gather evidence. Later that night, we sat on our porch, the air heavy with the weight of it all. "You knew," I said, shaking my head. "You weren't scared." Emily grinned, sipping her coffee. "I knew who they were. I just needed proof." "They thought they'd get away with it," I said, still stunned. Her smile sharpened. "They underestimated me." David and Ryan were charged with fraud, assault, and impersonating law enforcement. The rest of the HOA ring was dismantled within days. The neighborhood, once a facade of perfection, was exposed as a battleground for greed and deception. But here's where it gets messy. Emily's deception, while brilliant, left me questioning. She'd kept me in the dark, playing the role of a suburban wife while orchestrating a sting. Was it a betrayal, or just part of the job? And what about the neighbors? Were they complicit, or just oblivious? The lines between right and wrong blurred, leaving more questions than answers. What do you think? Was Emily's secrecy justified, or did it cross a line? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's spark a debate. How far would you go to protect someone you love, or to uncover the truth? Share your take, and let's see where this conversation takes us.